Our lesson today is on participles. The first part is how to form participles, or we may call it as the morphology of participles. Regular Latin verbs have four participles: the present active, perfect passive, future active, and future passive participles, also called as the gerundive. Be very careful. Gerundive may be confused with gerund. So gerundive is different from gerund. Okay, but before we proceed to know how to form participles, pagiromdom sa kabos. Ang importansya kan four principal parts of the words. Maybe some of you have disregarded this. We had seen this in lesson 1. Importanteng maray ang four principal parts of the verb. Dapat magi kamong pamilyar. Dahil kung mga hinahagad na tuo mo nindo, I am not asking you to memorize the four principal parts, but you should know the four principal parts of the verb. And of course, if you have a good dictionary, you will be provided with the four principal parts of the verb. Dahil di pwede ang chamba-chamba sana. Okay, we now proceed to the steps. How do we obtain the correct form of the participles? So number 1, ang present active participle. How do we get the correct form of the present active participle? 2 steps. First step, drop the ending of the second principal part of the verb and you will get the present stem. Yan. Yun ang ipigsasabi kong importansya kang form of the verb. Hindi gagamitin ta ang second principal part of the verb. You drop the ending. Ano ang mga ending sa conjugation? First conjugation, ending is are. Second conjugation, ere with long e. Third conjugation, ere. Fourth conjugation, ire. So, you drop those endings and then you attach the correct ending to form the present active participle. Sa kunyan, what are the correct endings for the present active participle? Yaw na dyan. Ang correct endings for the first conjugation, verbs ending in are, is ans. Kaya, laudare, drop are, ang matatada, loud. Plus ans equals laudans. So, that is the present active participle of laudare. Second conjugation, example, moneo, monere. Drop the ere, then add ens, you get monens. So, monens is the present active participle of moneo, monere. Third conjugation, example, ago, agere, short e. Drop the ere, you have ag plus ens equals adgens. Iguaman kita ning small group of verbs belonging to the third conjugation. Pero ang apod sa inda is io verbs. Tano, ang first principal part nila ending in io. O kadaklan, kan third conjugation verbs, first principal part ends in O. But this special group ends in IO. Importante yan na maaraman nindo. Special group na inaapod IO verbs of the third conjugation. Example kayan is capio, capere. Drop the ere, you have cap plus iens. Bakong ends. Totoo, third conjugation, ends. Pero digdi sa third conjugation, IO verbs, bakong ends, kundi iens with letter I. So, capio, bakong capens, kundi capiens. And fourth conjugation, example verb is audio, audire. Drop the ire plus iens, audience. Ang mga present active participle of all the four conjugations, including itong special group of third conjugation verbs na inaapod niya itong IO verbs of the third conjugation. Okay, I hope it is clear. So, the correct endings are ans, ens, ens, and ens. Okay, we now proceed to the perfect passive participle. Ano ang mga steps kani? Yun ang pinakasimpleng step. Number one is just look at the fourth principal part of the verb and you have the perfect passive participle of the verb. For example, laudo, laudare, laudavi, laudatus. Ang fourth principal part is laudatus. Yun na yan ang perfect passive participle. Moneo, monere, monoi, monitus. Iyon na yan, monitus na yan ang perfect passive participle. Ago, agere, egi, actus. Iyon na yan, actus. Ang perfect passive participle. Capio, capere, cepi, captus. So, captus is the perfect passive participle. Audio, audire, audivi, auditus. Iyon na yan ang fourth principal part, auditus, is the perfect passive participle. So, narinig nyo na talagang importanteng maaraman ang four principal parts of the verb. Ngunyan, sa mga ibang dictionary, ang pigtataong fourth principal part is the neuter form. Kaya imbes na laudatus, mababasa niyo dyan, laudatum. May problema yan. It's the same. Munitus, munitum, etc. So, some dictionaries give the neuter form. Ang fourth principal part of the verb, ang perfect passive participle, is actually laudatus, laudata, laudatum. So, for our purposes, o sa ibang dictionary, neuter ang pigtataw nila. Digdi sa salong leksyon, yaon digdi ang mga masculine ending in us. Okay. O, digdi na kita sa future active participle, the third participle, third kind of participle. How do you get the future active participle? First step is drop the ending of the perfect passive participle, which, as we have said, is the fourth principal part of the verb. And if you drop the ending, us, a, you will get the participial stem. Step number 2, to the participial stem, you will attach the ending urus. So, gabos yan. All four conjugation, kabali na dyan itong special IO verbs of the third conjugation, all the future active participle of the four conjugation and in urus. So, an example na pigtaw ko dyan, si actus, fourth principal part of passive, perfect passive participle of ago, drop the us or you add urus. So the result will be acturus. So, for example, sa laudatus, laudaturus, munitus, muniturus, captus, capturus, auditus, auditurus. So, iyo yan. Simple sana ang future active participle. Pero, yan, importante, you know the perfect passive participle or the fourth principal part of it. If you have the wrong form of the perfect passive participle, you will surely get a wrong form for the future active participle. So, importante ang four principal parts of the verb. Ulita ang perfect passive participle, iyo ang perfect ang fourth principal part of the verb. Okay. So the last sa participle is the future passive participle or more commonly known as the gerundive. Sabi ko kasubago, please, do not confuse gerundive with gerund. Mayo ning IVE. Gerund and gerundive are two different things. Okay. So how do you get the future passive participle or the gerundive? The first step is to get the present stem. Giniputan na yan duman sa present active participle. Second principal part, drop the ending, you get the present stem. And you attach the correct ending. Ano ang mga correct endings? Yaw na digdi nakalista sa ibaba. So for first conjugation, andus. Second conjugation, endus. Third conjugation, endus. But, duman sa IO verbs, iendus. Bakong endus, kundi iendus. Fourth conjugation, iendo. So, mga modal verbs ta. First conjugation, laudo, laudare, drop the are, you have laud, plus andus, you have laudandus. Next, second conjugation, moneo, monere. Drop the ere, add endus, and you have monendus. Ago, agere. Drop the ere, you have ag, plus endus equals agendos. Tuman sa special group, capio, capere, drop the ere, you will add iendus. Kaya capiendus. Bakong capendus, ha? Kundi capiendus. Adakol na akong mga estudyante na perming nagkakasarala dyan sa capiendus na yan, sa IO verbs at the third conjugation. And fourth conjugation, audire. Audio, audire, drop the ire, you have aud, plus iendus, you have augendus. So, yun na yan ang four principal parts of the verb. Ang future passive participle. So, you all now know the forms, the correct forms, on how to form the four participles of any regular verb given.